Call the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Pension Board of Directors meeting to order Thursday, April 13th, 2017 at 18:06. Trustee Wisniewski, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's make note that the members of the Board of Trustees, with the exception of Trustee Rogers and Trustee Aronson, are present either in person or by phone. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I'm here.
I'm good.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the agenda. So second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Let's review the minutes of January 12th. That's the call. Are there any changes? No. Additions, deletions? Nothing here. All right, motion to approve. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. New business, fourth quarter allocation report, which you apparently have in front of you, along with a statement of looks like a balance sheet for our pension. The allocation report is for you to review. I assume the pension beginning balance and ending balance are about what they should be. Ms. Bales?
Yes.
They're okay. So that's an informational item, I guess, unless anybody has any questions. Is there any old business? Any other business to be brought before the Board of Trustees? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. At 18:09. Take just a minute and call the next meeting to order. Let's call the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board of Directors regular meeting to order. Thursday, April 18, 2017 at 18:10. I will ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Note that all directors are present except for Director Mike and Director Branch is by phone. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Did we have that one item that, or we did add?
That is added on there, the IGA modification, yeah.
The IGA, yeah, okay. Any other additions, deletions?
None here.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Let's look at the March 9, 2019 regular minutes. I guess we're kind of back to the future, 2019.
Oh, sorry.
Have we arrived there
7.
yet? No.
Yeah, fat finger.
Maybe I have.
They say 2017 on the minutes.
Oh, okay. On the minutes. Any changes, corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Financial matters. You have in your packet the financial report for February. Again, March is pending receipt of our usual
Delay.
Systems design.
system
that
design
maintenance billing.
situation, as well as the income statement and some detail for the month of February. The expenses for February are $112,536, and I move that they be approved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief reports. Chief McLaughlin.
Okay, it's a fairly brief report this month. I was gone most of the month on vacation, so not much is going on an administrative level. Obviously, we're still dealing with above normal fire danger for the season, and we had a little bit of a respite there where it dropped down into the moderate level, but we're back up to high fire danger at this time.
We had a 40-acre fire down by Rainbow Fall.
Right, yeah.
Shooting range
Down at the shooting range, right. And we do have a fire weather watch for tomorrow, which will probably be upgraded to a red flag also. We anticipate at this point that the fire danger is going to remain high. We currently have a moderate drought situation continuing. None of the moisture that we've gotten so far was adequate to move us out of that drought. Out of that drought situation. So we do have a little bit of potential coming in. However, unlike normal, when we'd be continuing to get snow this time of year, we actually look like we're maybe moving into thunderstorms starting later this week and into next week. So hopefully we don't start getting lightning fires on top of everything else. Yeah. With that,
they had a couple of choppers down there on that fire.
Yeah, we do have resources available now. Yeah.
They're apparently somebody's geared up. I don't know. It sounded like Rampart and somebody else.
Rampart and probably the Monument hell attack. Yeah.
I recognize the Rampart pilot, same guy for the last 10 years.
Yep. Because of that, we are holding off on making any resources available to help outside of the region. But the only other area of the country that's really active right now is Florida, Florida's getting fairly busy. But we anticipate continued need for resources, near home or in the area. Latest news on the dispatch consolidation effort. Apparently, they've made some changes in the overhead of the program. We don't know too much about that yet. Basically, just were informed that they were going to be making those changes, and they anticipated that they would still be on target to have us moving over sometime around February or March. So pushed back a couple of months, but we'll see as it gets closer to the end of the year, because obviously we have had kind of a continual pushback of the start date on that since the project first started. We are also going to be meeting with the other mountain fire departments to discuss the proposed contract for services, because I think that none of the departments are happy with the proposal currently. The biggest issue that I've got with it is that as it stands, they would be notifying us in November of what the cost would be for the following year. However, we would not have any opportunity to withdraw from the agreement without a year's notice. So they could essentially raise the rates to an unaffordable level, and we would have to stay with that for a year. So we're going to need to resolve that because that is not really something that we see as an acceptable way to do business on that particular setup. The radio system is still going along more or less on the revised schedule. We have one meeting coming up with Motorola to discuss the radios and antennas, as they were the only bidder on those, and also their proposal for ongoing maintenance. We'll basically have to select what we want to do for a maintenance system on that, and all of those proposals were a bit more expensive than we had really anticipated with that. So we're going to be doing some negotiating before we sign the contract to try to get a reasonable rate on ongoing maintenance of the systems.
Is this radio system going to be, it's the antenna and the repeaters,
Right.
the handhelds as well?
No, that would just be the repeaters up on Conifer Mountain and the other 6 sites. So the cost for maintaining those is going to be probably somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000 a year, according to their current proposals, and that would obviously be split by the different departments that are involved. But it still seems like fairly high.
For 6 repeaters?
Yeah, 6 sites.
6 sites?
Yeah. And there'll be the repeaters, plus there's also the microwave system and all the backbone to it. But regardless, I think that they gave us high prices because they were the only bidder. So we'll have to see what we can do to come up with a reasonable cost for those services, or up to do it on a basically, we'll call somebody when it breaks basis instead of.
Harris didn't bid then?
Harris did not bid, no. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we still anticipate that the tower contract is finalized, and the pricing is available on that, and that is anticipated to go up basically sometime between June and August. And once the tower goes up, we'll just be waiting on the radio, on Motorola to provide the radios and mount them. The tower will go up, and the old tower will stay up until we make that transition, though, and get everything moved over. The other kind of big issue that we've obviously been dealing with has been the financial impact of the residential revaluation caused by Gallagher, and we still don't have numbers on that. We'll get the preliminary numbers in May, and we'll try to basically look at how much of an impact that is going to have. In anticipation of the fact that that's going to be coming up, and there is a possibility of a second revaluation in the 2019 cycle, we have started to discuss with our neighboring fire departments, what we could do jointly to kind of reduce the overall costs. And so we are going to be looking at whether or not, any level of functional consolidation of either some services or all services would make financial or operational sense. We currently have some things already moving in that direction. Our auto aid system has really been working out, because we're basically all responding to everybody else's calls and stretching our staffing quite a bit further than we had been able to in the past. Obviously the radio system and the communication system are essentially a piece of that consolidation of at least part of our services. It's hard to say what recommendations we would put together for any broader consolidation, but what we anticipate is that we'll start with a discussion between the chiefs, and then bring all of the boards in on board, you know, shortly thereafter, if the chiefs are, you know, feel that, you know, there's a reason to continue discussion. But
Are you talking now just about the 285 corridor, excluding Evergreen?
right now, that's where we're starting the discussions.
What about Platte?
Platte, North Fork, Inner Canyon, and Indian Hills are going to be on the first kind of round of discussions. I think that because we all jointly
Right.
operate more with each other now than we have in the past, and more than we do with the departments to the north of us, it made sense for us to start those discussions there. So we'll see how things look, but you know, obviously with the staffing issues that we have, I think that you know, we're going to have to come up with some solution because, you know, our call volume is going up, our call acuity is going up, but you know, potentially we're either going to be flat or losing ground, you know, as we move ahead financially. So
The departments that have career staff are us, Platte, and who else? Inner Canyon?
well, Inner Canyon has a paid chief only,
Right.
and
North Fork's paid chief.
right, and you know, that's basically it. So as
Yeah.
far as line staff goes, it's just Platt and us. Evergreen has administrative, dispatch, maintenance, and paramedic staff, but not
Not
fire staff.
firefighters.
Right,
Fire. They're all volunteer fire.
right. But they have a more robust volunteer department, largely because of the larger population that they serve, and so they're in a somewhat better position than we are currently. You know, and certainly it is related to kind of the size. I mean, you know, Inner Canyon is probably struggling as much as anyone, and a number of times lately we've been, you know, going in on their calls and, you know, pretty much exclusively because they have a difficult time during, you know, especially Monday to Friday during the day,
Right.
you know, having volunteers available. So,
But they already operate that way with Indian Hills. I mean,
right,
they're almost dispatched exactly at the same time, whoever's available.
right.
Indian Hills has a paid chief or
Yes. So all of the departments are kind of in the same boat where, you know, really getting volunteers out has been more difficult as time has gone on. And, you know, that is obviously part of a trend across the country. I think it's a largely a generational thing. I mean, you know, when I was 20 something, you know, there were a lot of us that volunteered for the fire department. You know, and now it's much less frequent that people of that age come
well,
out and
there's more
volunteer.
to it now.
There's more to it. There's more, you know, people have more going on in their lives. A lot of people have to work more jobs that are, you know, 2 jobs or more. So a lot of the folks that we do get coming out are ones that want to turn that into a career.
Right.
But very often those are, you know, 1 or 2 year volunteers instead of volunteers that stay on for a long time. And, you know, a couple of the guys that started with me and as a volunteer in Homer, you know, are still volunteering there 31 years later. So,
Are you planning an academy this coming year?
we will be starting an academy, and one of the other discussions that I think we'll start with that process is, you know, is being more formal about joining those academies together as part of the, you know, one of the steps that we can take toward better recruitment and a lower cost. We've done that some in the past, but it's usually been, you
Just
know,
sort of ad hoc.
yeah, ad hoc, yeah. But you know, that obviously may be one of the things that we can do to kind of slow down the
Have
attrition
one fire academy
for the corridor, right? Yeah.
I wonder if, well, depending on where the volunteers live, is essentially sharing volunteers.
That's another thing that I think that we're going to have on the agenda for that. You know, that's something that we've done in other areas and quite a few departments are doing now. So, you know, if we can work something out with that, that may
Especially in
certainly
terms
be
of
helpful.
joint shifting or
Right.
something on that
Right.
line.
It doesn't help with the retention part of it, which is still the tough thing is, people come out, they volunteer for 2 years, then they get a job in, Adams County or somewhere like that, and then once
Well, I
they
think the
leave,
answer to that is probably increased recruitment, because I think that we always assume that the academy, would every year bring in 2 or 3 new people who'd stick around for 2 or 3 years,
right,
kind of thing. So that even though you'd have an academy of 15, or some years we had 20, we got 8 good volunteers out of that academy.
right,
And
yeah. It's generally been about 50%, attrition before the end of the first year.
Right.
So, I just got a message. Mike Rogers is back in the station, so do you want to try calling him in, or
just say we're just about
just about done? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We'll give him credit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And then moving on to activity for Chief Ware, who has himself left on vacation now. We were up to 105 calls in March, so we're back to kind of more normal call volumes after a little bit slower call volumes for the first couple of months of the year. We are seeing a lot more mutual aid because of the auto aid programs, and because everybody's getting busier. So we did have Plaid in 6 times, Evergreen twice, and Inner Canyon 1 time. And then we provided mutual aid to Plaid Canyon 3 times and 4 times to Inner Canyon. Actually, we did have 1 to Indian Hills there too, so I think that got missed on that. So we picked up one of their calls when they were busy with fire down in the Bear Creek area. So we did have an average turnout of 5, which is up a little bit for the month. So that was, we are seeing people come out largely because we are seeing, again, more fires, and we had a couple of fairly significant motor vehicle accidents during the month as well.
He says only 1 grass fire. I thought we had more than 1.
We did. I think that his numbers are behind. Yeah, I know that we had.
Which, by the way, you weren't here. You probably got a message about it. They handled them very well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Everybody got out, and they the one with the fireworks down here, which I actually passed on the while those kids were trying to snuff it out. And then the other one up here.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
anyway, I'm just saying that they sounded like things were in pretty good shape.
Yeah. No, we ended up running the call down at Tiny Town because
Right. That's what.
the Inner Canyon folks were over on the Deer Creek,
Right.
Creek one on that. And that one obviously had a really significant potential,
Oh yeah.
for growth. We're definitely into a situation now where, fires, on windy days could go another, couple hundred or 1,000 acres and be significant threats. So we'll hopefully just keep catching them.
Well, as long as we have air available, even for these lightning strikes that are coming up, we can get those ships on it quickly.
Yeah. And unfortunately for this year, with the fuel conditions and the fact that we're not liable to have a very strong green up,
Yeah.
I think that we're going to continue to have fuel issues, even if we do get some more moisture, because the timing of the moisture is such that
Sure.
if we don't get it by the end of April, then we're not going to get the initial start on moisture in the trees
July.
and shrubs.
Yeah.
And they have a window that they have to be able to take moisture in order to basically replenish their fuel moisture for the summer. If it doesn't happen, then they'll tend to stay dry through the entire summer, even if we do get into monsoons later on. So, hopefully that turns around, but right now there's not really much indication that it will. And currently, for the remainder of the year, we anticipate above normal temperatures. There's very, pretty much a strong pattern that most of the country will remain above normal temperature, throughout the year. So it is what it is, I
It
guess.
is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay.
Chief,
Could
any
you-
questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, could you go over the public land protection
Oh.
plan on your reports?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to get to
Yes,
that. I have approached the other fire districts to discuss with them jointly, approaching that particular subject. And currently we have, tentative interest in trying to put something together with that. And likewise, we did meet with representatives of the sheriff's office to discuss, basically putting some of those, some of the issues about responding to public lands and how we manage delegation of authority into a written agreement. The sheriff is interested in kind of putting that together. We have, obviously, if we are looking at financial contributions, that's going to have to go to the respective agencies. So the county commissioners for open space, the state for state parks, and so on. But by approaching this as a group of fire districts, I think we can hopefully have a little bit more clout in getting getting some agreement on how we're going to handle those situations in the future. Obviously, with camping coming into Staunton Park starting very shortly, we anticipate that call volumes will continue to rise there. We've already been in there on mountain bike accidents this year, and we also still have the issue of how to deal with mitigation on those lands, moving forward. Fortunately, the state park has been doing quite a bit of mitigation and really doing quite a bit of work there. And we do have Denver Mountain Parks, are going to be continuing their programs, and the Beaver Ranch project is continuing. But the other open space parks, we don't have any anticipation currently that any mitigation will get done on those. And as I think you're aware, we don't have anybody who's stepping up to say that they're taking the responsibility as yet.
All right. Any other questions for the chief?
No, but I certainly appreciate the leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Under new business, we have another intergovernmental agreement modification.
Yes, that's correct. This is for the automatic aid agreement. Initially that was the departments from Evergreen south to North Fork. Genesee Fire has asked to be included on that, so we're going to be incorporating them into our automatic aid system. And they're also coming over to the radio system with us as well. So this agreement would essentially allow Genesee Fire to piggyback onto our existing automatic aid agreement.
I guess we need to approve that.
That's correct, yes.
I'd like a motion to approve the First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for automatic aid, adding Genesee Fire and Highland Rescue.
That's correct.
So moved. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any old business? Any citizens issues?
Yeah, I'll speak as a citizen for a moment.
Okay.
I ran into a gentleman who is the CEO of a very innovative company. He was an ER physician. I think the company is called iDispatch. And they set up a mobile unit. It combines having a paramedic with telemedicine to docs where they've supposedly cut costs tremendously from transports for a lot of different conditions, especially asthma, etc. So with the board's approval, if they would empower me to initially look into this, I would need data such as the number of transports monthly over the past year, and just some of the statistics about the conditions.
Sure.
I could get an idea, and then if it looks like it might be viable, I would pass it on to you, Chief. I wouldn't want to burden you initially unless it looks like it could be a viable assistance to us.
Absolutely.
The Evergreen Department is looking at home care for chronic cases that are using transports there.
Right.
That they would have to upgrade their paramedics to do that, but it's a similar idea.
Well, it's actually more in depth. Because it's a mobile unit, one mobile unit,
Yeah.
there's a lot of treatment that goes on. They've actually put the patient in this mobile unit and do a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
So it's a potential. And there's a doctor, at a distance monitoring the whole thing.
Why don't you go ahead and investigate that for us?
I'll do that. If I can get that data, I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Yep, I
Thank
wrote it
you.
down. So number of
Absolutely.
transports and just the basic conditions.
Yes, thanks.
Sure.
Any other citizen issue? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
No.
So,
Yeah, problem. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you,
You're
Alex.
welcome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so we're adjourned.